everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Tamika.
Don't you wanna have fun, fool around someone?
I wanted to quickly introduce this themed vlog. I'm not 100% sure on what future me is gonna do for the intro, but I just wanna let you all know that I adore Katie Colson, right? Like, I love her a lot. And I have been meaning to read some of her favorite books for a couple months now. I fell into the Katie Colson rabbit hole and was like literally just addicted to her content. So I'm gonna read some of her favorite books. And Church obviously is going to help me because he also wants to be involved, which, can you blame him? Like, Katie's adorable, so he has to also help out. I'm gonna be reading 3 of Katie's favorite books. So first of all, I am gonna be reading Bunny, which it's a staple for Katie Colson. She loves Bunny, so I'm gonna be reading Bunny. I'm also gonna be reading Tender is the Flesh because I've been meaning to read this forever, and the reason I put it off was because I wanted to read it for this reading vlog. And also, on top of that, I'm also gonna be reading A Dowry of Blood because, again, one of Katie's favorite books, and I just wanna see if I like them. I love horror. You all know this. Like, I am a horror and romance person. Also thrillers. I love all 3 of those genres. And I've been really leaning a little more into my horror reading lately. So I think now is the perfect time for me to start this vlog. So yeah, come along with me. I am about to start Tender is the Flesh because that's the one I'm the most excited to read. And this one is literally about cannibalism. Like, our meat source is tainted and we can't eat from like meats anymore, like from animals, and they start raising humans for slaughter. So I'm gonna be listening to this on Scribd. I'm gonna pull up the little app and we are going to get started because here it is. It says I'll be done with this in 3 hours and 22 minutes, which will be like 11 o'clock tonight. So I'm gonna go and read, and I'll update you as I have feelings about this because I have a feeling once I start, I'm not gonna stop. So we'll see what happens. I am getting ready to leave my house. I'm about to brush my teeth so that I can go, and I have to run and grab some things, and then I'm going to my girlfriend's house. So I want to tell you a little bit about the book that I'm reading right now because I did start reading Tender is the Flesh. Guys, this is messed up. I am only like 10 chapters into this book so far because I am listening to this on Scribd, and I'm gonna be listening to this on my way over to her house. And seriously, I don't have words for it. It is so messed up. I'm 26% through it. I have about 4 hours left. That's like without speeding it up. Speeding it up, I think I'm like 2 hours and 30 minutes or something. It is so interesting how they talk about humans and how these humans are cannibals. Like, they're literally raising humans to eat them like they would animals. And all I can think about is like, it is the exact reason why I wanted to be vegan and wanted to be a vegetarian in the first place, which we all know I can't do because I can't, like, I'm too picky and I don't eat healthily, so like it's a whole struggle. So like, it's not the point. If I wanted to be a vegetarian, it would be so much harder than it would need to be. Not the point. But this is just so interesting because I'm blown away at this commentary on, like, this man feels so guilty, but he's like, I have to keep doing it because I got to pay for my dad's bills. Like, I got to pay to keep my dad in the nursing home he's in. And it's just, it's messed up. And I don't even understand how someone's brain could make a book like this. Like, I'm invested. I have downloaded it. I will be reading it the entire drive over and the entire drive back later because it's like a 40-minute drive to get over there. You know, because lesbians, we love that. That's actually a very, very close drive for the gays. So we live very close together. That's like 10 minutes down the road in lesbian time. I'm gonna be listening to it the whole way there and the whole way back, so We'll see how far I get. Oh my, I'm excited. I think that I'm really gonna enjoy this. I can't stop thinking about it. Like, that's my entire thing right now, is like my brain is just like, I can't stop thinking about this book and how these characters are feeling and how they don't, like, they literally refer to humans, like human beings, as meat, flesh, the meat. And you can't tell me that it's not bizarre to think about us eating humans and just referring to the human bodies as special meat. You can't convince me. I'm gonna continue to think about this for literally, I think this book's gonna stick with me for like literally forever, because it's so messed up. I finished Tinder as the Flesh. All I have to say is that book should not have been that good. I have a lot of thoughts, I have a lot of feelings, I have a lot of things I need to say about this book. But the first thing I need to say is please ignore the state of my hair. I literally just got done working out, so I look greasy. I'm sorry. I'm not showering yet. I'm gonna shower in just a minute, but I have to update you on this book first. Tinder as the Flesh is literally a dystopian world that is a future of America where there is a deadly virus that is infected in all of the animals, and all of these animals are no longer able to be consumed as meat. And if you are scratched or anything like that, you are infected with this virus, and it's very deadly. So we are going through the point of view of one of the men that work in the slaughterhouses, because they have now made a special meat, which is humans. So they have legalized cannibalism. And this entire story, you are sitting there in the perspective of this man who is like not 100% comfortable with the situation of being a cannibal and eating people and, you know, giving up his former life. And there's a lot of things in here. Specifically, we have grief. There's grief of lost children and a lost parent. And we specifically have grief because of a child death. So I just want you all to know that going in. There is a lot of animal cruelty in here, because this is literally a world where animals are rabid and they can kill you. So a lot of people are very scared of them. There's a lot of discussion in here regarding having to put your pet down. So if that is something that you cannot handle, do not go into this book, because that was one of the harder scenes for me to read, was him talking about him having to put his animals down because of this virus. And then the other part was he was literally describing this little pack of 4 puppies that he found, this little litter, and these teenage boys are just brutally killing these animals and abusing them. So like, if that's something that you are super uncomfortable with, I can't tell you enough that that is in here, and it is hard to read. I want to say that if I put this on the spectrum of like extreme horror and just regular horror, I want to say this is more extreme, because this provoked one of the harshest reactions that I've ever had to a book. This is one of the most messed up books that I've read. This is one of the books that have truly made me emotionally hurt. I don't know what it is about being able to read about humans being tortured, but I can't do it with animals. So I think part of it is that, you know, humans are bad. Humans, there are bad humans out there. So seeing a human be tortured is not the same as seeing an animal be tortured, because I feel like animals are so innocent. And humans, though even the most innocent of person, have bad traits within them. So I feel like there's a little more justification. But with animals, they are so pure, and like they literally just survive off instinct. Like there is no evil bone about them. Like they're not trying to be mean to you, right? Like they're just surviving on their instinct. Whereas humans, we have like fully developed brains and subconsciouses and everything. So I don't know. I feel like there's a really big difference. This book is hard to read. I'm not even gonna sit here and pretend like it's not. This is something that is just really hard to sit down and consume, because there are so many parts in this where I was so uncomfortable. Now, do I think this is absolutely fantastic? Yes. I think this is one of the best horror books that I've read so far this year. It is very interesting and has so many layers of different things happening in here. So we've got like the grief from losing family members, also the very weird tension between the siblings. I mean, we also have the fact that we are in a world where they are eating humans and him dealing with that moral dilemma and really getting down to, is it illegal to, you know, eat humans that have a first and last name versus humans that are bred literally to be eaten. And they talk about like ripping out their vocal cords and all of these things, and it's just like, it is hard to stomach because you can almost imagine a world like that, because with the way that we're running right now, the direction we are heading, I can see it so clearly that this being a thing that happens, and it's terrifying because that is just a scenario none of us ever want to be in. But I mean, what if it is? I don't know. I feel like this is a very disturbing, very graphic read, and like this is coming from someone who reads like a lot of extreme horror. I'm not gonna say this is the most extreme book I've ever read. This is not the worst, like the most extreme, like the most disturbing horror book that I've ever consumed. It's not quite that. It is up there of the disturbing factor and being so absolutely messed up and the things that are in this book. I wouldn't say it is quite extreme, but it's pretty close. And I feel like if you are interested in the concept and you think that you can handle those trigger warnings that I gave you going into this, I don't think you're going to dislike this. This is a translated work, so this is translated from Spanish, so there are a little bit of hiccups with the translation, like with a language barrier, but overall, I honestly loved this book. I think I'm going to settle right at a 4.5. The ending made me stop and literally pause. I was at work just minding my business, you know, doing my shit so I could go home, and literally the last sentence in this book played and I was like, what? And I had to physically stop, rewind it back, and listen to that last chapter again because I was like in awe at the ending of this book. I thought it wrapped up perfectly, also very ominously, and just like, you have to use your own interpretation to really get the conclusion of this book, and I felt like it was perfect. I see why Katie loves this book so much. This will end up being on my favorite books of the year list. This, no doubt in my mind, this will end up on my favorite books of the year list. It is so good. It is just amazing in every sense of the word, and I don't know how I could say that any other way other than this was a perfect recommendation. And I'm very scared that the next two books that I read that Katie loves are not going to hold up to Tender as a Flesh, because this is such a me book. This is such a book that I would read and I would love, that I'm terrified that going into the next one, it's not going to be that for me. So here's to hoping that this vlog continues on this note. But even if it doesn't, I am honestly so fucking happy that I read Tender as a Flesh. It is so good, and I'm just glad that I finally got around to it. I'm the worst booktuber in the history of booktubers. I'm just gonna make that very clear right now, because I had clips. I had a ton of clips of me talking about A Dowry of Blood and this book and my reading process, and like as I went through it, because I freaking loved this book. I could not tell you where it's at. I don't know where the clips are. I don't know where the SD card is that it was on, because it is not on this camera that I'm filming on. So I don't know where it is. So yeah, this is me carrying on my legacy of being the world's absolute worst booktuber ever, whose septum piercing is always crooked and it always looks like she's picking her nose because she's trying to fix it. And then she just makes it even more crooked. Okay, listen, A Dowry of Blood this was so beautifully written. This was so gorgeous, elegant, thought-provoking, fantastic. The best audiobook I could have picked for this reading vlog. Not the best book, the best audiobook. I love it. It was so good. It literally was so lyrical and so beautiful, and it touched on super dark stuff, but it didn't feel like a super dark book. I understand why this is one of Katie Colson's favorite books, because it is just so captivating. I felt like I was literally in this woman's head the entire time. I needed the next book immediately. I was so invested in the tragic love story because it is not a romance. It's a love story at best. Toxic, abusive, disgusting love story, but it's a love story, and we are literally going through as she is in this toxic relationship, and as she like gets out of it, it is beautiful. You know from the beginning she is no longer in this relationship, and I just loved it. It's so good, and I do not understand how this book was as good as it is. I have never been so excited and enthralled by a vampire horror book. I don't get vampire horror. Like, I get vampires, they're hot, right? Like, I love vampires. But vampire horror I've never gotten. But like, for some reason, this was like vampires but sexy. I didn't get the horror. Like, I got the horror because this is a horror book. The things in it are horrific. But it didn't feel like horror, but it also didn't feel like romance. It was very weird. I loved it though. I gave it 5 stars. And I will be talking about this forever. Alright, so we're starting Bunny by Mona Awad. I think that's how you say it. But we're starting Bunny. I am 2 chapters in. This is one that Katie Colson talks about constantly. My battery's dying, so just gonna let you know I started it. We'll see what happens. I DNF'd Bunny. I wasn't supposed to DNF Bunny. And it took everything in me to finally do it. Because me and Ashley were talking about Bunny. And I was like, Ashley, I'm enjoying this. And she's like, okay. I hated it. And I was like, Ashley, why? It's fun. It's good. Like, whatever. She's like, the first half's fantastic. Just give it time. And I was like, okay, cool. Me and Ashley have very, 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 very similar reading taste. And when I tell you that Ashley was not wrong, she was not wrong. I love Katie Colson, right? Typically, I love weird shit. This one was just weird for the sake of weird. I have a lot of complaints, and I don't feel like I can accurately put all of those thoughts into like a coherent string of words right now, string together sentences of why I felt like this was just weird. I feel like it was weird for the sake of being weird, and it didn't make any sense. Like, it's not bad, but it's not good either. I don't know. I'm gonna come back and give thoughts. I just needed you to know I tried. I got to like chapter 16 or 17, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I was like, this does not make any sense. I'm not following what's happening here. So we DNF'd it. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I ain't gonna complain out of 2 out of 3, to be honest. I'm closing this vlog finally. I'm really happy that I got through 3 of Katie Colson's favorites. Even if I did DNF one of them, and even if I didn't love one. I found 2 new favorite books, which is always a plus because I love finding new horror. It's one of my favorite things. Finding new horror favorites is one of my favorite things in the whole world. So I'm really happy that I found some new books that I absolutely loved and I will never shut up about, even if I didn't love Bunny. I really feel like the reading taste that I have and Katie's reading taste line up pretty similarly within this selection. Now, do I think I'm gonna trust her thriller recommendations? No, I don't feel like our thriller recommendations kind of line up, because she also loved No Exit, and I thought No Exit was just fine. I didn't really think it was like super spectacular. So yeah, her horror recommendations for me are very on spot. They are literally right what I want, exactly what I want. They're perfection. Thriller recommendations just aren't for me. If you're still here, leave me a bunny down in the comments. And I will chat with y'all in my next one. Bye, everyone.
Don't you wanna have fun? Don't you wanna have some fun?
Yeah, this baby said that they don't got a future like